Hello and welcome to episode 1 of RaiderIO's Weekly No Leaver. I'm your host, Sean, and today I'm joined by the incomparable Naguura. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for the invite. Looking forward to the dungeon.
Excellent. I've been watching your Bootcamp Boomy series. Your Bootcamp M+ Bootcamp series. I may have just leaked what the title of this episode is. And I've been really enjoying it. Where did that idea come from?
Yeah, so basically, when the season started, like the second season started of The War Within, I really liked the dungeons that they had announced, and I wanted to get into M+ and wanted to play high keys again. But after like a few weeks, somehow I just had slowly lost motivation to do super high keys. I have done high keys, but not like super high end. So I was just kind of like playing along and doing keys on my stream, and I didn't really know all like the detailed strategies and stuff that I would usually know about high keys. And that kind of like lost me the motivation to continue to push. And then I was thinking, you know what, maybe if I actually understand the proper in-depth strategies about these dungeons more, maybe then I will find the motivation again to do high keys. And then what better way to figure out like smaller details and in-depth strategies about dungeons than to ask my friends that are doing high keys themselves, right? So it started out with Teddles, where I was thinking, you know what, Teddles is doing a lot of M+ this season. Let me see if he would be down to just explain some dungeons to me. And then I figured, you know what, to give him an incentive to do it, we should do it on stream. So he can stream, I stream, so it's both like content for us. And it's like a win-win situation for everyone, because the viewers would also learn a thing or two about the dungeons while we talk about it. And that's how the idea came to life.
I love it. It's a win-win-win because the viewers are the biggest winner. Yeah, that's great. That's a really fun idea. So now you mentioned higher keys. We're starting this key for anybody who's unaware, which I guess is everyone since it's the first episode. The premise of Weekly No Leavers is it's an interview, it's a chat while we run a key. So we're doing a Dark Flame 12, which is, I think, a little bit lower than you're currently running. You're up in like the 17 range, is that right?
Yeah, it's like 16, 17, and I'm currently at, yeah.
Are you feeling a title push for the end of the season?
No, not really.
No?
I did actually indeed find my motivation again to play high keys after I was doing the bootcamp series, because it was actually a lot of fun, and it sparked my interest again. But unfortunately, then we got like the Turbo Boost season and the belt and all of these like other changes and the horrific visions and stuff. And to me, that was a little bit too much, because I am also doing like a lot of other streams nowadays, like more variety gaming and real life streams and whatnot. So I don't have as much time anymore to play WoW as I usually did. And every time I logged on, I had to farm Valor Stones or farm Crests or farm Horrific Visions. And that kind of like burned me out again afterwards. So I lost a little bit of motivation again, unfortunately. So no title this time around, but maybe next season again.
Okay. Oh, well, hopefully that's a great segue. It's like you're a professional. Have you seen the dungeon pool for next season? Does it spark joy?
I did see the dungeon pool, and I love almost all of these dungeons. I'm actually really excited about it.
Nice. Which one do you think is going to be the one that, like, when you get into it next season, you're like, okay, this is my jam. This is the one that I enjoy the most?
Maybe Gambit?
Ooh, yeah. Is that
Gambit's
because of
definitely a fun dungeon.
the giant pulls? Oh.
Yeah. What is your favorite dungeon from the new pool?
Ooh, from the new pool, Gambit is way up there. I do like Gambit quite a bit, so I don't want to say the same answer as you, but it is because of those giant pulls that you can do with all the Murlocs.
Yeah.
But I'll say Halls. I'll give Halls of Atonement some love. I remember there was an MDI in Shadowlands where somebody unveiled like a 3-shard strat where they pulled all 3 of the shards before the first boss at once. And that just, for the rest of Shadowlands, I was like, I want to be able to recreate that. I never could, obviously. I'm not. If I could, I would be on the MDI, not posting videos about the MDI. But yeah, I got a lot of love for Halls from that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's. I think next season's looking pretty good. I'm hopeful for anybody listening who hasn't seen the dungeon pool yet. It is both wings of Tazavesh, so upper and lower Tazavesh, or Streets of Wonder and Soleil's Gambit. And then we have Halls of Atonement, as we mentioned. and then we're getting Icodome Aldani, which is the new dungeon from War Within, and then some returning dungeons as voted by the players, which I believe were probably heavily influenced by trinket drops. Operation Floodgate, Priory of the Sacred Flame, Arakara, and then Dawnbreaker, which doesn't have great trinkets. I don't know how Dawnbreaker got on that list. It's like a Steve Buscemi meme. Hello, fellow dungeon.
Maybe, like, it's interesting because a lot of people that I speak to on my stream, they always say they like Dawnbreaker a lot as a dungeon. So, I mean, I personally am not the biggest fan myself. I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah, it's fun when it's not buggy. It's fun. But the first time you fly through a ship or a ship doesn't spawn, you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. You mentioned IRL streaming and how you've been like dabbling into that, and I would be remiss if we didn't ask you, like, that transition, like, how do you successfully make that transition from I'm a Warcraft streamer to I'm a variety game streamer, I'm an IRL streamer, and now you're like doing cycling tours? What is that like? Like, you have a whole rig now, you're biking past people, and then your chat is talking to them.
Yeah, like I've been streaming for I think 11 years now, 12 years almost, and almost always for like 95% of this time I've played WoW, and I mean the whole time I was also very passionate about WoW, but there were times where I was not that into WoW, and I still played it because, you know, it's what I do, and if I streamed any other game, I had very low viewers, and I couldn't really like do it. So I always had this dream that I wanted to be a variety streamer, or at least there's like one other thing that I can stream in case WoW is currently not doing well, or in case I am currently not motivated to play WoW. So I just have like a second option. And initially I wanted this to be variety gaming, but it didn't quite work out for me, and I was always like demotivated whenever my viewers were like super high and my community didn't really respond to it that well. At least to the games that I liked playing as like the variety option. But one thing that always kind of worked for me was cooking streams. Cooking streams, I guess a lot of streamers, even WoW streamers, do cooking streams once in a while because it's fun and it's like a one-time thing and you can give it a try. And people of my community always kind of liked cooking streams. And to me, when I was thinking about these IRL streams and about what this other thing could be that I'm streaming outside of WoW, I was thinking, you know what? If variety games don't work, but cooking streams work, maybe I can do something that is similar to cooking streams. And that's how the whole like IRL idea came to mind, especially because I live in like Südtirol, which is in the mountains, and in the Alps, right, which is like a beautiful area that I live in. So to me, it would make sense that if people like watching me cook in my apartment, maybe they also like watching me, I don't know, walk outside or go on a mountain or cycle or whatever. And it turned out that yes, people actually did enjoy watching me do that. And for me, it's also just such a nice option where like once in a while, I just don't feel like sitting inside because it's really nice weather, or I don't know, it's the end of a patch and there's not too much to do in WoW, or generally I just want to cycle that day, and to have that option and to have people in my community actually love that and be a part of it is really, really cool. And I'm so glad that I managed to do that transition a little bit, or add it into my like streaming repertoire, I guess.
It's can you tell us like what the rig is like for the IRL streaming? Like, is it just like a giant backpack? Do you have a camera crew following you?
Yes, it's actually somewhat like it looks simple, but it's really complicated. Because IRL streaming, it's still in its infancy, I think. There isn't any like proper equipment for it. It's all like a mix of things that are being repurposed for IRL streaming, even though it's not made for IRL streaming. So overall, it's complicated. I do have 2 phones. I have 2 action cameras. I have like a microphone, a special one that works well with the wind, and I also have on-ear earphones so I'm able to hear the chat. That is like a TTS voice is reading the chat to me, basically. And the over earphones make it so I can also hear other things Otherwise, I'm just walking around cluelessly and I don't hear anything in real life, which would be bad. And that's
Yeah.
like the TLDR of it. But overall, it's a little bit complicated because I'm actually streaming from this PC that I'm streaming from right now, where I'm playing. That's the PC that also streams when I'm doing real life streams from all over the world. So I'm like sending it to a cloud server, to a relay server from my phone, and then my phone is sending it to my PC, and then it's streaming from there. So it's very complex. I also have 3 SIM cards and a router as well.
Did you have to
yeah.
become like a networking engineer to settle this stuff?
It's actually, it's something that many people, when they get into IRL streaming, I guess it's holding them back, is that the setup of it. That it's actually, like, you need to read into it a lot, and it's a lot of trial and error, because like, maybe a microphone works for me because I do this, but then another person wants a different microphone because they do different kinds of IRL streams, and yeah, it's complicated.
I love it. That's great. Well, we're very much enjoying seeing them. So I'm glad that you're also enjoying doing them. It's a lot of fun.
That's very cool to hear. I do love it when people are hanging out. I'm at this point where there's some people say that they like my WoW, or a lot of people say that they saw my IRL streams because they watched me for World of Warcraft before. But now they actually enjoy my IRL streams more than my WoW streams. And to me, that's like, wow, that's like kind of strange to me. And also, yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
I love it. It's you're ascending.
Yeah.
Have you? Was there any like lessons? Like, obviously, you're an experienced caster. Talking on camera is nothing new to you. Was there any lessons that you were able to take from streaming Warcraft or from casting MDIs or Race to World Firsts that transitioned you into like making the IRL stuff easier?
One thing, and I'm not sure if that has to do with me, like with WoW in particular. I think it has more to do with streaming and gaming, because one skill that
I'm gonna mess this jump up.
I pressed the wrong button. Need to wait 8 seconds.
For our listeners at home, we're trying to do the jump skip before Candle King and Dark Flame Cleft, and it's going well.
Oh, but one thing that I learned from streaming and gaming is listening to something and talking about something else. I guess a lot of streamers will be able to relate, and maybe some gamers too. You know, when you're raiding and you're in Discord, and there will be people talking. But I don't know, maybe you're talking to your stream about a different subject, or maybe you're playing next to your partner and your partner is talking to you. So you have these voices in your ear, but at the same time, you are holding like a different kind of conversation. And that is something, oh no, I'm stunned. Am I alive? Ah. I'm stunned. Yeah.
Chrisette is an exceptional healer. I promise you, you will be alive.
Help me, Chrisette. Okay.
It's too many voices in your ears is the problem.
Oh. But when I do real life streams, as I explained earlier, it's hard for me to keep up with the chat. So I have a voice in my head, like the TTS voice, that is reading the messages to me. But the technology is not quite there yet that we can choose the messages that are being read. So all of the messages are being read. And sometimes there's a lot of people chatting, right? So this voice will just constantly read messages in my ear, but I have to like talk about other things, and I have to interact with humans in real life and whatnot. And I think I'm able to do that because I've been a streamer and a gamer my whole life. And a lot of other people said they would go insane. Like they're not able to have a voice say something in their head the whole time and talk about other things. Like that's something that they say they can't do at all.
I love that. You could transition into like actual broadcast television because you would already be prepared for having a producer in your ear. It would be an easy transition for you.
Yeah, it's funny because when I cast the MDI, I do also have my producer in my ear sometimes, but he speaks so like rarely because I'm not the host of the show, right? Rook is the host, and then Rook will have the producer in her ear a lot, and she's used to it. But as a caster, the producer does not speak to us very often. So if he says something, I get so like startled that I don't understand what he's saying. So I'm like, what did he say?
I love that. Oh, what was that? I love that. That's great. Rook's like, now you know how it feels.
Yeah.
That's great. MDI, another great segue. I think maybe you should be the host of this show. We saw a lot of keys time, a lot of world records time during the MDI this season. Maybe one of the most exciting MDIs I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea or like a prediction coming to the end of this season as we get nearer release date for 11.2, hopefully soon? Do you have any predictions on what we might see as like the highest keys done on retail?
Oof. That is a tough question. I don't know. Like, I guess it depends on how they're scaling the lower keys, right? Because sometimes Blizzard means it really well with us. And I think this season, season 2, I think most players tend to agree that the dungeons weren't super difficult initially. Like, most players were able to do pretty high keys at the start. While in season 1, that was not quite the case. So I think it just depends what Blizzard wants to do.
Right.
The key levels, and generally I think that Blizzard also wants the key levels to go higher compared to season 2 as well, just because if the keys level doesn't go up, then people, you know, it's like, oh wow, it's like a lower number. My score is lower compared to last season, you know, like they don't like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be slightly higher than this season, but I don't think like for like an insane amount if they do the balancing, quote unquote, correctly.
I had never considered that. I don't want to say placebo effect, but that like the mental check of, hey, we want these numbers to go up so that players feel like they're progressing.
Yeah,
I never considered that in the tuning and anything at all. That's really insightful.
I think they care about it at least, right? Because I do assume that it affects players a little at least.
Yeah, no, the way it works on the show is if it's said on the show, it's news. That is fact. That is how. Yeah, that's.
Ian actually told me so. He
That's
called
right.
me earlier.
We locked it in. We're in this. We're just in the minecart section of Darkflame Cleft right now. Just before this dungeon launched, that was a hot topic. A lot of people were really concerned about how it was going to come out.
Yeah.
How it was going to affect the season. Where does Darkflame Cleft fall for you after all is said and done on the season 2 tier list?
Wow. Okay. So I was so worried about Darkflame Cleft when I knew it was going to be part of the dungeon pool. Like I was even worried in beta already for the War Within when I played this and hated it immediately. But then when it was released, it was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I think it's a fine dungeon. It's still not my favorite, to be honest. But the whole cart section is really not as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I agree. I think they did a good job of minimizing its impact. It's not. I don't know anybody who's like, oh man, I can't wait to get to the minecart, but it's not as dreaded as I think we were worried it was going to be. For this section now, we're tossing the dynamite. Naguura, are you a dynamite tosser or are you a it'll get there on its own type of gamer?
I'm definitely a tosser, just because, okay, so first of all, the information that the boss doesn't actually, like the damage below 90% doesn't matter. That's something that I figured out really late, because apparently I missed the memo. And one time, like at the very start of the season, I was not throwing as much dynamite, and somebody in my chat called me out for it and said, Naguura, stop being AFK. Like, you could have thrown like 3 more dynamites. And I was like, oh no. Like, so I made sure to throw as much dynamite as I could. And then eventually I figured out that it was indeed useless.
And now you're just too competitive to not be out here chucking the dynamite.
Exactly. Are you a dynamite thrower or AFK getting a glass of water or something?
Yeah, it is a good time for a water break. Yeah. We're coming up to the last boss, so our interview is almost done. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what are some of your favorite memories in your streaming journey up to this point?
In this patch or in general?
In general, like those moments when you're like, you're sitting around, you're having a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever your drink of choice is with your friends, and you're like, I really enjoyed moment X.
I guess almost all of these moments are going to be competitive moments because I, of course, used to be like a raceable first raider, and one of my most favorite memories or that I can remember is getting world firsts overall, but my number one world first is world first Archimons. That feeling when that boss died and when I knew that we've gotten world first is something that I'll probably never have again. And it was just like indescribable. Like it's such an amazing feeling. And that was like the whole reason why, like the amount of time and effort you put into the race, right? Obviously a lot more now than what I did back then. But even back then to me, it wasn't the same amount of effort and passion that went into the race so first. And winning that competition at the end just felt amazing. But yeah, there's also lots of smaller moments throughout my gaming career that are one super cute story. Oh my god, I need to tell you the story, but it's going to be a little bit long. I'm going to try to contain it.
It's okay. You can make it as long as you want. We can wipe if you need to. We got all kinds of time left.
Okay. In Classic, I wanted to farm this like two-hand weapon. I was playing a paladin back then. A two-hand polearm that you could get from Reputation, from the Alterac Valley Reputation. I forgot what it was called. And you needed to be, I think, revered with the faction. And the best way to get the Reputation was to do Alterac Valley. And back then, sometimes Alterac Valleys would take hours because there's a back and forth and it never really ended. So, and I was not really into PvP that much, especially not Alterac Valley. So I would just, like at some point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just level my fishing skill. So I went in and there was this lake in front of the Alliance, like, starting point. And I just went there and had my fishing rod and I would just be fishing. And then at some point I farmed a old school transmog. And of course, transmog didn't exist back then. You had to actually equip the items. So I had this like gray item set, which looked like a farmer outfit. So it was like leather pants and like a straw hat and like a leather shirt. And I put that outfit on to indicate to the other people that I'm not there to fight. I'm there to fish. So I had my leather outfit on and I was fishing. And then at one point, people would come there and kill me, right, and saw me, and, I would just go back and fish. And then there was this one horde player, I was playing Alliance back then, who walked up. He was a hunter, and he killed me. And then I walked back to the pond, and I started fishing again, and he killed me again. And then I walked back the third time, and then he just looked at me, and he stepped next to me, and he started fishing as well. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. So now I had this horde player and this Alliance player who were fishing together. And then some days later, I would continue to go back into Alterac Valley. And some days later, this hunter would show up again, and he had farmed that same outfit that I had farmed, this leather gray outfit, and he put it on, and he was fishing next to me. And I thought that was one of the cutest things.
That's amazing. Do you know who that hunter is? And it turns out that was Gingy.
I remember his name. His name was Shakir. But I have never, I didn't see him ever again, so I don't know. He was like a troll hunter.
That's the most heartwarming story I've ever heard. I love that. Cute. How they must have taken a screenshot in game to see what you were wearing and then gone and looked up, because back then it wasn't easy to grab somebody's transmog.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
Yeah, that is a great story. That is amazing. All right, I'm glad you shared that with us. Thank you so much. That's the key. That's the interview. We're going to let you get back to streaming your regularly scheduled content. And Naguura, thank you so much for being here with us on Weekly No Leavers. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. And you can find me on twitch.tv/Naguura with 2 U's. And I'm also on YouTube and on all of the other socials with the same name.
Perfect. Definitely check her out if you haven't already. I'm certain you have. She's very prolific across the Warcraft space. Definitely check that out. And if you enjoyed this show, please hit a like and subscribe. You can also go on RaiderIO right now and find the Mythic Plus replay for this key, and you can throw it into your own Mythic Plus replay and run against us and see how you did. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.